And we are live coming to you from the dirty South Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Might be going solo. I don't know. I sent out a couple of invites. We'll see. Uh, you know, this is the time. I know I wanted to not really talk about the national much anymore, but we're going to a little bit here. Uh, People kind of might take a little step back for a little bit, catch their breath, reorganize. Uh, I didn't. I came home Monday and Tuesday. I was on eBay hitting deals. I hit deals this weekend too. I feel like I'm stealing a little bit, trying to find auctions. Since I didn't get much modern, I was hitting my Pete Alonzo's up pretty hard since I've been back. But just getting low, and I think the most I spent for anything was $31 for a patch auto, um, which I was surprised I got at auction. At that, I just threw a bid in and got it. But you just never know. I just try to steal cards every once in a while, legally. That is Purple GT22. How's it going? I hope you are feeling well, sir. We missed you at the show. Hodges, how you doing? As always. Yeah, so that's kind of like what my story is tonight, is like how to move on after such a thing like that. An event. I keep calling it an event. It's not just a card show. I think that's where people have an issue when they go. They're in their mind, they're thinking it's a card show. And first off, it's not. It's a convention that has a card show, but it's an event. What's up, Paul? Um, yeah, I hear you, Purple. Uh, I feel like if everybody went there with that in mind, like going to any other event, lines and things like that wouldn't be crazy. What's up, Joe? Uh, a doctor exclusive. I was thinking about what you were asked on IRP about the VIP standing in line. I really think they saw a video of people waiting to get in at early, um, before the early. Downstairs, people were in line to go up the escalator because it was an escalator. Upstairs is just a mob, but I think that's what they saw, because you couldn't go in before 9:30 until Sunday. Yeah. Well, it's going to be next year, next 3 years in Chicago. Well, 2 years definitely. They keep teasing maybe the third year won't have to be in Chicago. Um, we'll have to wait and see for that one. I know they're doing, the new group is trying to figure out. Sounds like they want to go somewhere different, throwing out some things. Even at the show, I heard Baltimore being thrown around. So I think that's where Fanatics is going to be at first January. Um, and that's kind of what I want to also talk about. I was kind of hoping some other Mike would come in because we talked about it before. Speak of if you say his name, he shall appear. Uh, how you doing, Mike? Hope your phone hangs in there. What's Deep Hires? It's good to see you again at the National. Uh, yeah. What's up, Battery? If it's in Chicago every year, should they still call? Yeah, that's kind of where me and Mike are with that. We kind of feel like if you have it at Chicago, a little of the specialness, then it just becomes the Chicago show, which they already have two of already. So, uh, but we got the Fanatics in a couple of weeks. I am really eager to see. I know Sue said she was going on X, Twix, whatever we're calling it, Twitter. I'm hoping she gives us some feedback on it. I just don't know. what kind of turnout they're going to have in Manhattan. That's my issue with the whole thing. It's expensive to go there, to stay there. It's in the city. Don't get me wrong; it'd probably be fun. What do you think about that, Mike? And welcome.
First off, hello. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of not over. I don't feel like I'm back to a set of normality because,
Right.
like you said, the national it is the largest card show in the country, and it is an event, and it's kind of like a whole bunch of things, and it's awesome, but it really is as fun as it is. It is exhausting because you're up and on your feet and around, which I'm kind of used to doing that kind of stuff, doing like 18-hour days, but like you're exerting so much energy because it's crowded. It's you have to have like a hyper awareness. You're kind of focused on looking for stuff throughout the day. It's so crowded that it's loud. So like all these little things that you might not think about take an extra kind of use an extra energy to focus on stuff, and then even to converse with people, to listen, to speak,
Right.
you have to raise your voice and stuff. And then when you're kind of focused in that land of cards and kind of nothing else in the world matters for those few days, then you get back to reality, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I got this to take care of, this
Right.
and you're kind of so behind. So I still feel like I'm kind of catching up, but I can't imagine doing all that, and then 2 weeks later going to Fanatics Fest. And we'll
Yeah.
see. I
And
just, it's going to be a big event, and I think Fanatics has the hopes of it becoming a Comic Con for sports fans. And I think they've said a few times a lot of people keep trying to compare it to the National, and who knows what the future holds. Maybe someday it is as large, but in terms of card presence and card show, I feel like it's not going to be even remotely comparable
well,
because there's
they're
a focus on
right.
meeting athletes. They're going to have the leagues there. I heard an interview. I think it was on the Jeff Wilson thing with Michael Rubin talking about they want to have like athletic things where people can do different things like run 40-yard dashes and maybe face pitching machines and all those type. Like they're going to have a lot of that, and the meet and greets and the autograph opportunities, and you're going to have promotions throughout sports, and I'm sure there's obviously going to be a lot of apparel. Like cards will just be a portion of that. Doesn't mean they won't have a lot there, and obviously the owner of Topps are going to have some exclusives and stuff, but
Yeah, they'll
you
probably
know
set up a lid store in there with Fanatics
uh,
gear and
no doubt.
Fanatics. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I probably wouldn't. I can't say I'll never go, but I just don't know. I don't know if I don't know if going to New York is like for a few days in many people's plans. I know they want to do high end. Orlando might be funner because actually, if you stay away from the Disney places, it's not too bad to stay in Orlando. They're going to be in Baltimore, I think, in January, so that might be something to look into. I just don't know if I can swing $50 a day for an entrance fee.
Yeah, it's a little expensive to start, I think. And we'll see. Like you said, there's going to be different venues. If they did something in Philadelphia where I could easily just do a day trip, I'd
Right.
be more likely to at least check it out. Not that I couldn't do New York, but if I were to decide in 2 weeks, like, because I think I'd technically be available, or I guess it's next week at this point. Like, theoretically, I could get up early in the morning, probably drive 25 minutes to Trenton, New Jersey, and take a train ride into New York and then get there. But you still add that up. I mean,
Right.
gas to Trenton, little toll back. You could probably, there's one bridge you could scoot over. Regardless, parking for the day at Trenton, I got to assume at least $10. Train ride round trip, I think it might have been up. It used to be $21 like 15 years ago. I think it was 31 last time I took it, and that was years ago. So it's probably more than that. So you throw that in there. Maybe if you take a
Right.
subway or another car, then on top of that, you're going to spend $50 to go into the show. It's going to be a full day trip. So you're probably going to have to spend some money for food in New York City. That could easily be another $20, $30,
Yep.
maybe. Um, and then you're gonna possibly buy stuff. Like I just, to me, I don't know if I would want to do a day trip there. You know, if I had a group of buddies who wanted to go, I'd definitely be down for it. But I also feel like it's going to be a very, not to say there won't be some, like the card show aspect, I'm sure there'll be some vintage
A
dealers and
couple
such.
more.
But I feel like it's going to be heavily focused on the new age stuff, the current modern day athletes,
Yeah.
and the modern cards that Topps is trying to get new people into. It does help in a way if you get new people, because I think one of their goals with Fanatics Fest is to attract sports fans and then from there to sell their products to sports fans. Obviously, most sports fans buy some sort of apparel. They want to sell more, but I wouldn't say most sports fans collect sports cards. They might collect something sports wise. Maybe it's
Right.
bobbleheads, maybe it's some of the action figures, maybe it's posters or some memorabilia, jerseys, bats.
My hat.
Lower percentage in terms of cards. They want to get those people to get into cards.
Right.
And while it can be a gateway drug to get them in by saying, hey, you remember you grew up in the 80s and you like Don Mattingly or, Mike Schmidt or Gary Carter, and people get interested in that and then they discover the new stuff. Their ultimate goal is to sell them all the new stuff. So I think there'll be a presence on all the shiny stuff. And to me, while that's cool to see, that's less of a reason to go to the show. I mean, I like my local shows and I will buy new stuff, but a destination show, I want to get stuff that I can't just go to my hobby shop, go to Walmart,
Right.
Target, or pop on eBay, or all these other areas like Fanatics Live, whatnot,
I just
all
have a
these places.
and I don't want to pigeonhole or label things, but I'm going to do it here. Um, I just think the show is going to be more of the RPA crew, like rookie patch auto guys, with the Pelican cases, uh, which I have no problem with. They're part of this hobby just as much as any of us are. But I think that's what it's geared more to, where us backpack old school guys, which I like the new shiny just as much as the old stuff. Uh, but I want to diverse, and I've said it 4 or 5 times now. This national was probably the most diverse card show I've ever been to. Uh, Seemed like everyone in Truist Park today was wearing an authentically licensed jersey. Today, I've been seeing more and more of that, Carlisle. At games, it seems like now. Well, I know Fanatics is got a thing now because they showed pictures of the two guys that are dressed up like Canseco and McGuire at the Cleveland show. Where if you dress up like your favorite athlete or something, they're going to have like a contest or something. So when you said they're trying to make it like Comic-Con, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Uh,
Yeah, I just think for card fans, like, don't get me wrong, if you're local to it, you can go, or if you have the time, I think it'll be cool. I think Tops will obviously be there showing off some new products. If you notice, they didn't really show off as much. Usually at the National, they'll have some packaging and some more previews of products coming out the next few months. They really didn't have, at least unless I missed it, they really didn't have much of that. So I'm assuming they're saving that for next week. I think they'll be showing off images of other cards, previews. They'll probably show off like the Paul Skeens Tops update, rookie, things like that.
yes, Paul.
Um,
That's Paul. You put it very well. Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. I just want to point out Paul's statement. Um, yeah, this is. We know the Fanatics wants to grow because they put a lot of money into it, and I think by putting more money into it, by making these shows and doing it in some of the most expensive venues in the country, is not going to help their cause. But
well,
go
they
ahead,
pretty
Mike.
much, what's his name? In the interview I watched, Michael Rubin basically said, we will take a loss on this first Fanatics Fest. This is strictly really about marketing right now and kind of setting
Right.
up for the future. So, but I do think it'll be neat for card fans to see some of that. Um, they'll probably have some interactive stuff, and I'm sure they'll give away a bunch of stuff, and they'll do a lot of promotion. So don't get me wrong, it would be a cool event to go to. I just don't. For me, I don't think it's worth the cost, and I don't think
Can you
I would
imagine them doing
personally.
Fanatics live from there? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, they could be doing some
walking
stuff.
around and
No,
I
I stopped at a mall show yesterday, only because like I was literally 2 minutes from it. I didn't go out of my way and stuff. And it's
you
in the
just
past, it's a mall show. It's a promoter that's usually honestly not very good.
right.
But going in there like a week after getting out of the national, I was just like, I'd never been less excited to be in a card show. I was just like, oh my goodness. But it's a pretty poor selection overall of
Right.
dealers. So I mean,
Iconic baseball. My 2 cents. There's room for 3 annual national shows. Well, it kind of is. You have the national, the big daddy of them all. You have Burbank, which sounds like that's going to be National West. And I mean, you can pick any Dallas or Philly show and kind of say, or Strongsville, which I don't think Strongsville is as big as Dallas or the Philly show.
I
And
think a lot of people were underwhelmed by the last. I think way back in the day, Strongsville was an amazing show because there were a lot of guys that came out once a year, and that was the only time they set up. Maybe that, and maybe the national. Some guys might have only done that, so there was a lot more, a lot of chances to pick up unique things. You know, very very low pop, pre-war vintage stuff, oddball stuff. It sounds to me like just from feedback I heard from other people that it has become another show where it's all the big dealers. There's still a few of the local type of guys, but less and less.
right.
And like I heard a lot of people just, I don't know, not that they didn't enjoy themselves, not that it wasn't a great show, but I straight up had a couple people say it really wasn't that much different than the Philly show.
Yeah, well,
I
I'm
think it
hearing
got
the Philly show is
overhyped in the
better.
last few years.
Yeah, I think Philly show is, I heard from several people is better. And that's without Wesker Griff telling them they have to say it. Um, but uh, that's it. That 70s card show said it, and a couple other people. You know, gotta take it for what it's worth. But I I can't imagine Strongville being better than the National because the National has so much vintage. I mean, I think every card I was looking for, and I saw a lot of stuff I was real. It made me interested for next year to keep my eye out. Some non-sport, the 4950 Campy, to get ready for next year already. So,
Yeah, no, the National's an awesome. The National is great. Like it really. I'm not even trying to just advertise it and overhype it, but it is. It's just a whole nother world. And hey, you got to be into everything. Like if you're a casual card fan, you're gonna have some fun at it, obviously. But if you're really into the community, if you've made friends in this hobby, and if you love cards and you like don't get tired of looking at them for days straight, like it really is one of the events of the year. There's a reason why a lot of people, as much as they can, everyone's in different situations. You go through different stages in life with people. Um, you have stuff to do, so not everyone can make it every year. But when people go, they tend to usually find a way to go back, whether it's every year, because it really is like literally one of the best few, one of the best weekends like of the entire year. It's right up there, like with some of the other really great days. It's just such a great event. There's so much stuff to see, and obviously we share it with so many people.
so moving forward, we have the Fanatic shows coming up. Uh, Philly show. You got one in September, right? One in December.
Yeah, it should be probably. I'm guessing. I haven't looked it up. Obviously, the dates are out there. I would say it's probably the third week in September and probably the first or second weekend in December. And I have a feeling the Philly show is going to be the next
Yeah.
hyped national show because I also heard a few of the bigger YouTube people who
seems like
have
more
those
and more.
monster followings who were talking to me or like, yeah, I think I'm going to do the Philly show soon. So once that
I,
starts
I was
happening,
I was looking at September, but I have a wedding and my mother has an operation that I gotta take her to. Nothing bad, just an in and out on her foot. Um, so I have to help her for that weekend. So my September is pretty much shot, but we'll see about December. Uh, October is Chantilly, which is growing. That's the CSA card show in Northern Virginia in Dulles. They've been using more and more of that convention center every time I've gone. I did not go at all last year. I'm looking to see if Ralph Sampson's going to be autographing to autograph a couple of my Sports Illustrated that I picked up. Um, and also a couple other people that I wouldn't mind getting. It seems to be cheaper at Chantilly as well because it's not TriStar doing it. Um, TriStar was really expensive this year, even for like the basic. Used to be you can get like the very basic people for like $49. This year was quite a bit more. Uh, which I mean everything's more. Uh, let's see. When is Burbank? Does anybody know when the next Burbank show is?
yeah, I haven't ever really followed it. I don't even know how many they do a year. Are they doing 3 or more?
I think they're doing two. Um, but I think they're joint. Like them and Fanatics have got something going on.
Yeah, I mean, I want to continue to check out more shows. It's just, I don't know. Like the National, like I said, is a really special event. It's just, you got to justify spending that a certain amount of money to travel to shows. You got to, in my opinion, at least, you got to try and combine it with stuff. I would like to do the Dallas show one time because we've heard so much about it for the last three,
right.
4 years. But like, I want to combine it and kind of go see a baseball game, visit some friends out there, stuff like that. Like, I don't want
Right.
to just go there just to go to a show because, quite honestly, I don't see myself going there and spending a ton of money. I don't think I could buy enough stuff there to justify buying stuff to resell. Like, you spend so much on travel. Like, I got to consider it a
Flipper.
vacation trip. Like, I'm just saying, like, and for my collection, like, I just don't see that.
Right.
I could find modern stuff probably for the collection, but like, I would find it hard to believe that I would find much older stuff. I could easily be wrong, but it just doesn't have the same appeal to me as the Philly show or the National. I would actually like to maybe at some point check out the Shriner show, the Boston show. I believe that's in November. I think that would be pretty neat to check out.
So the actual, I didn't know this. So the Burbank show is in, Pyre's put it down here, 22 through the 25th. 22nd is the VIP night. Uh, Battery says it's tough to put team sets together when you can find a ton of Luca. Yeah, I heard it's a heavy basketball one. But yeah, the 22nd through the 25th of August, which is a week after the Fanatic show. So these YouTubers, man, they're going to be going all over the place.
But if you notice, I mean, maybe I'm just not following as much, but I think there's a lot less of the travel card show vlogs and such going on right now.
Right. So I'm trying to see. Uh, Shut up. Thank you. Uh, so it's like 25 or $30 a day to get in. Early bird pass 30, 25 general, 20 on Sunday. Well, see, that's smart. 20 on Sunday. That's what the
All
national.
shows should be like $5 or less on Sunday. Even the Philly show, like it's a little better than it used to be, but like December, if the Eagles play at 1 o'clock or something, like Sunday will be okay for a couple hours, but to drive there and deal with the cost and stuff, it's
Right.
kind of gets hard to justify. And I think at times it's getting worse because the dealers are doing so well the first day or two, they kind of don't care. Like I
Hey
heard it at
Dave,
the National constantly.
I put a link in our chat if you wanted to come on, Dave. If not, you're more than welcome to be in the chat. And also, Dave, have you found a hotel yet for next year? I did. That's going to be the next thing already. Because Canadian Cards and Card Cutter said I should start my national road to the national now this week. So
K minus 347.
No doubt. Actually, today would be the last, is like 1 year from the end of the show, I think, today. So, from the end, not from the beginning. Oh, okay, Dave. Thank you. But yeah, for me, it's kind of like after the national, now I'm kind of in limbo, like what I'm collecting, what am I looking for? You know, I jumped right back into my Pete's because I've had some Pete Lonzo withdrawals. You tend to collect pre-war and vintage all the time with yours, with all the shows you go to. But I mean, have you jumped back into seeing some modern stuff, or are you not looking at all right now?
I mean, I'm always glancing at stuff, and I get my 87 emails every morning from eBay, and I got to go through certain ones. I'm like, I should just unsubscribe to this or whatever. You delete whatever, and then I browse through the others. Always following certain things, but I still I feel like it's been like this the last couple years. There's just constantly feel like we're in a drought for products. I'd rather them during the season have the products coming out weekly or at least every 2 weeks rather than, we're going to get bombed once October, November, December comes along.
Yeah.
I think Finest is out this Wednesday. I only have like a box or two coming because it's just cost prohibitive like most products now. You just don't get that many cards. But like Donruss, like it was fun to open and I listed most of them on eBay. Like there's nothing really in there I'm going to personally chase. Last year, I actually had fun with the Panini products because it was Chuck Klein, Richie Ashburn, some guys that were kind of interesting to collect.
Right.
And this year, I think the only Phillies I got in my 2 boxes, I think I got a Schmidt base and a Scott Rowland. And then there's a couple of prospect guys, but I haven't gone too crazy with it. I have seen some deals on eBay. I mean, I think we're in that crunch where a lot of very serious card collectors just blew a ton of money at the National, both on travel and buying nice stuff for their collection.
Right.
And then on top of that, there was what was last week? There was last weekend, there was Huggins and Scott, or it might have been early this week. There's an auction ending tonight for a smaller site, Collector Connection. REA has an auction ending, I believe, in a few days. There's a couple other auction houses. There's a lot of big auctions out there. So there's so much to go around, plus all the eBay stuff. I mean, so there are deals to be had. Granted, this one auction I was following, honestly, last night I was mixed up and I was thinking end it last night. And I put pre-bids on a lot of stuff just so you have a chance to bid in the extended bidding. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, part of me was like, oh my God, I'm going to get some amazing deals. And part of me was like, how the hell am I going to pay for this? Why am I winning so many things? Then it occurred to me, I'm like, okay, there's another 24 hours. For a second, I was like, this stuff is way too low. And I'm like ready to go on the news and be like, did something happen? Is there some freaking giant war? Is everything going to be worthless tomorrow? Like, why is this stuff so cheap?
Paul said Huggins and Scott had some stuff go cheap last week.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I was following. I mean, you always see nice stuff. I always browse on there.
Yeah. I didn't even think about auction houses coming back
because they're always set up at the National and they're advertising all this stuff, and then they obviously want to have the stuff end within a reasonable amount of time, give people a chance to save up a couple bucks, but also you don't want to have it go too late so people forget about it. But it's just so much at once. Like,
yeah, just because this is what I was saying. Like, what's up, Dave? Got Dave, Midlife Card Crisis here.
What's up?
Who did do his video? I watched it this week.
Yeah, that's
don't
like
want
the
him yelling at me.
the one thing I accomplished is every one of the housemates. I watched every one of their national videos, and I'm kind of
Man.
working my way around the rest of the community. I've been going through and trying to watch as many from each person as I can. And
Right.
it's like you kind of feel like you're still at the show because I'm just
Poor
having
Fabian
fun with it.
sounded like poo, man. Sounded like he got ran over by a truck. Yeah, because Dave, afterwards, are you kind of like in a lull right now? I've been, you've been listening in. Are you looking?
I mean,
same old.
Same stuff. I've already bought like 5 cards.
Me too.
So it's I got a special one coming in that didn't happen at the National, which I will be showing you off hopefully Tuesday.
Sounds like someone who's been a long time pitcher in Major League Baseball and is destined for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That you were looking for at the show, right?
Yeah, all the whole day Friday, and only found the 1 of 1.
Right.
Which I'm not buying for $350. So
yeah.
So no, I got a couple things, and then we'll see. I got my car insurance hit this week, so
I remember you saying that before you left.
Yeah, and that's always the national. Hey, spend a bunch of money, and then here's a bigger bill to add to your money.
Well, that's what I was making a point of before it went, was to make sure where you're at with your bills, your stuff that mean you don't want to put yourself in a bind when you come back. You want to make sure you got money for a rainy day, still saved, in case you need that emergency fund still.
The thing with me, I think I've told her, my money and my family money is totally separate. So like I'm broke as hell, but like my wife's all right. Because she like pretty much when I said when we get our checks, I keep very minimal money. And then she gets all of it. And she pays all the bills and stuff like that. And then I get hit with car insurance on my credit card. And then that's really kind of I think I got like Disney Plus and Peacock is what hits my credit card too. And everything else is paid for with the family money. So.
Right. Yeah. That's what you get when you come from any big show or anytime you spend a lot of money like that, a vacation, anything, you got to kind of make sure like, okay, I'm back in reality now. I better have money to pay for my real life shit.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of stressed before I left, because I know as a young man, I really didn't care about tomorrow until tomorrow. I've gotten better with that as age. Don't want to be stressed out over something could be done. And that's why I have a separate fund for my show. If I have to use that money in case of emergency, I will. But I have thing for show money. So
yeah, like with the national, like I always save all year long.
Right.
I said I think I every time I have cash, somehow I come home with cash. It goes into my national fund. It doesn't go anywhere else but there. We get money for Christmas or some birthday money, whatever. It goes into the national fund. And then in May or so is when I count it and go, okay, what do I need to make sure I have enough for the show?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I do that. And like I said, when I go to other shows, my base is usually just $200. I don't go there to get crazy. If I get one card, I get one card. But sometimes I have more. Like if I go to Chantilly in October, I'll have more than that. If I go to Philly in December, I'll have more than that. But if I go to a small local show, that's about all, because I figured out a while back, if I go to a small show with a pocket full of money, I'm going to spend that pocket full of money on nonsense cards and get home and go, why did I buy these? And then just because I had the money in my pocket. When I can go to a bigger show, have a bigger selection, usually get better pricing, you can work a little bit better. Because I was shocked. Y'all saw me counting my money, I think, Thursday or Friday, because I knew I bought some nicer cards. And I was shocked at how much money I still had. Because
I think you got some looks around the room that were shocked how much money you still had, too.
I was like, I thought I spent more, and I kept checking it because I was like, how did I, like, my money went far. I feel really good, and I came home with money, so I felt really good about my decisions.
Yeah, I came home with about, I think it was like $85 or some of that, when I was not expecting that, especially when I paid Mike for the room, and then the one I had to use my beer money, use for the beer money at the VFW. So yeah, I came home with 85, and it's in the national fund for next year.
Yeah, that's kind of where my money went. What I did was, is since I'm a collector, I bought one of those books that you put the money in the sleeves to save up, and I want to see how that goes for me because I like to collect. Let me see if I can collect some money for next year. So if I fill up the book, it's $5,000. So we'll see how it works for me. And also, I've already sold cards since I got home, so I'm starting on the right direction. I posted 5 cards on eBay and sold 2 yesterday and sold 2 before I went to bed last night.
I will say real quick, I had mentioned I stopped at that mall show, and I was honestly in and out of there in 25 minutes. It was probably maybe 30 tables, but really only like 10 dealers.
Right.
The vintage stuff, because there was a mix of stuff, but the vintage stuff so expensive compared to the national. The nationals, I know some people complain, but the national for the most part is very fairly priced for the vintage stuff. The top stuff is obviously going to be very expensive, but there's so much knowledge in that room, and people know the prices, and people know how to look up VCP, and people know how to look up eBay comps, and there's eye appeal. Certain cards will be a little higher, but like even if they're a little higher, they'll work with you. It's kind of a better market for vintage stuff. I definitely noticed that as well. That was an observation I made.
Yeah, it was a couple of tables when you walk by, you're like, wow, these cards are way overpriced, but they're waiting for the people to come in that's not educated as much, or they're going to the national because they live in the Cleveland area and they heard about it and they're going to go check it out. They might not know. So there's a show on Monday, Carlos. Okay.
That's how they roll in Canada.
That's how they roll. It must be a Canadian holiday or something. Maple syrup Monday. I wish it was a holiday here. I know we got one coming up sometime. Going to shows going forward, or whatever you're doing going forward, that's kind of like where I'm at right now in my collecting. Is like at the show, did y'all see anything, or has anything changed in the way you want to do things going forward a little bit? Because I know I came back with a little bit different. I'm evolving all the time in this hobby. So did anything like that for y'all, or pretty much? I know, Dave, you're kind of like very narrow in what you're collecting, so you stay very focused. I need to be that way. So is that where you're at?
I would have liked to dig through. I would like to dig through more boxes, find some $3 or $4, $5 relics and stuff like that. Some guys I don't have, right, which I didn't do a whole lot of this year. And then one of these years, like he was saying, I'm going to dig through some of these dollar boxes and try to get a bunch of rookie cards that fill up my spreadsheet. And I just never do. I think I did a little bit this on that Friday when I was just tired of walking around. But that was like the only time I actually dug through some cheaper boxes. So, I'd like to do some more of that just to get, right, but, it's always cheaper to get them for $1 there than trying to go on eBay and pay for the shipping with it.
Right.
Let me see what I can do. But
I think the problem with those cheap boxes, they're always tempting, but it is a time suck. So early on, it's like you don't want to get trapped there for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. But also I think there's some great deals there, but some of the bigger dealers that, specialize, the Singles Club, all those places, like you're like elbow to elbow, and it's kind of I don't know, it feels kind of uncomfortable early on, and then next thing you know, the show's almost over. So I I really didn't go through boxes as much as I would have liked to,
Me neither.
either. But it's just I don't know, it's tough.
I did on Saturday evening and Sunday when it started loosening up. I started to more and more. We got to that one that had the like the 80s, 70s, 80s, 60s,
Yeah,
70s,
I did
80s.
some of it there, and we
I really
got a
like
good
that.
deal.
I wish I
And
would have
then
went back to that on Sunday.
the Topps Pristine guy, bunch of us went through his stuff, and that was pretty easy. There was very similar stuff, so it wasn't. Some of the places are just a scrambled mess, so it's a little more difficult to kind of go through because you're going through
I
so
need to
much
check that
crap you
out.
don't care about. But
Right.
Now, the one I did go through, at least they had everything broken down by team.
I like that.
Like, so it was easy for me to go get the Jets and then start pulling up all the Garrett
Yeah.
Wilsons and
I,
Brees
I
Hall
tend to
rookies.
I tend to go to those first. Like the one I was talking about Saturday evening, they had it broken down by year. So that was really, really nice. So I knew what I was, my benches and Carters. I picked up some dupes that were looked really, really nice dupes that I might get graded to.
yeah, I don't think he was a big like grader either. So he had
Right.
some pretty decent condition stuff. You
For
know,
a buck.
some places you could tell are incredibly cherry picked. Where you
Right.
know, and I don't mind low grade stuff vintage wise. Sometimes I even prefer it to save the money as long as it's a nice looking example. But some of those tables you want to be careful with. You know, you don't want to be buying the trim shit.
Right, right. Yeah, I guess we watched, if y'all seen Snoop's video talking about that. And you that's one thing I've gotten better in picking up in the vintage world is like if you're looking at raw stuff, you can tell sometimes if it's been manipulated or not. I've gotten better at picking up signs and I could be wrong, but I just stay away from it if it feels like it's been messed with. Because I picked up some vintage, and if I know it's trimmed, um, I don't care if it's like a bigger card, like kind of like the one I got from you, Mike, that I'll be showing off when I get it back. I got it cheaper. It's probably about the best way for me to afford it. I don't care if it gets authenticated. If it just gets
Yeah,
authenticated,
certain ones don't matter as much. Like as long as you know, you don't want to
right,
pay for something you think's a 4 or 5, and then realize
right.
it's not even close.
Right. And it's a lot of that out there now. It's always been out there. I think everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people are getting more and more educated on that to look out.
One of these weeks in the live show, I'll have a Sandy Koufax trimmed card available, and if you can't tell it's trimmed, then you don't know that's set. I think
What, if
it's
somebody rounded the corners or
no,
something?
it's I think it's a 56, and it's like there's like an inch off every edge. Like I don't know what the hell. I guess some kid cut it out like years ago.
Probably.
I got it in a big group, but it's very obvious, obviously.
Yeah. Those are easy. Just like, if you have to, just like Snoop said, carry around another card to hold it up to it. You do that from a dealer, they'll probably start to tell you right there if it's trimmed or not, the way they act. I know I carry around a magnifying glass sometimes. You could see
Yeah.
when it's trimmed on the edges.
I've done that before where I just I've held up a pre-war thing or a rookie card like right up against a graded copy and just to kind of double check it. Just to kind of,
Right.
if it's a bigger purchase, listen, if it's like a $2 card, whatever.
Right,
like
right. Yeah, that you got to do that. And I mean, so moving forward for till late next year, we got y'all will be going. You go to Philly, Dave. Do you ever like go to the Dallas show? I know you've been to a couple, but is that when you see one's coming, you just go if you don't have nothing else? Or?
Usually when I find they're coming is because BBC did his Dallas recap. And I was like, oh, it's out. Okay.
You still got hours to go if you've already seen his recap.
True.
Saw it right when he released it.
No, I mean,
yeah,
I've been a couple, like, when Ryan Curtis, Dominus and Finis came in town. I think that might have been the last one I went to. So I went to go meet him. And I think, last year at National, me and Steve, Broncos 79er, we talked about going, but then I just never did. So that's over a year ago. So, I have soccer on Sundays and Saturdays.
That's what I was going to say. You're probably
work sometimes.
More comfortable buying online because that just gives you more time to be at home with the family. I've tended to be that way now where I can either drive an hour or stay around here, buy stuff online. Just depends. I still love going to shows because I like being around that atmosphere, even if I don't buy anything. Just to walk around.
I think like if more people, there was more tubers we knew at the Dallas Card Show,
right.
then I probably would go meet up.
Right.
Even though there are several that do go, but I would like to make it like more of a get a mini national more than a just kind of go out there a Saturday and go back home.
Well, I mean, you did offer us your couch if we come out there, so all of us will show up.
Sounds good. My wife just looked at me like, "What the hell?" But
we're just not. Dave said we can all stay. Y'all have a big couch.
Yeah, wife just said, "Just give her a hotel and she's good."
Yeah, so well, we've always talked about going down there, and I like to go to Philly, and me and Mike have been throwing out there trying to get down to Atlanta here to watch a series before the season's over with. I don't know if it's going to happen, but get down there, watch a game, go to the mecca of cards down there, and see how that place looks. And,
probably empty.
The lines at the National selling to him. That was the dumbest. Well, there was lines at a lot of tables selling cards. I mean, people were lined up all over the place, but the one that hit, I'm like, you can go to any table and sell cards. Why do you have to sell to him? I didn't quite understand that, but it was.
Well, they probably know that he's going to buy them all.
I guess.
I mean, unless they're really turning some stuff down. I mean, if you go there with a bunch of crap,
right,
he's not going to take it. But I mean, he has to fill that big old place up and all that overhead just to run it. Yeah, they're wanting to buy as much as possible.
Well, maybe I'll take all of my junk, take it down there, and just go give me a price.
$4.
Okay, you can keep it because that'd be worth me keeping it then. Yeah, because that's kind of. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a limbo, but yet not. Mike, you sent me a picture. I would love to get that playing days. Gary Carter, you sent me a picture of on-card auto, in-person auto. But I just don't have the funds for that right now. If I wouldn't have bought the Pete Alonso last weekend, I would have. But that's just the way it goes. I'll get it someday. But it's just kind of now trying to feel my way around right now personally in the hobby without putting myself in a bad place. I went through a lot of my graded stuff, and I have 3 stacks of cards to my right here that I'm selling on eBay. Probably need to go through it more just to just try to narrow down my focus a little bit. And I still have a big focus, and I'm all right with that. It just, not all these cards I got graded makes sense for my PC right now or at the time. So, and go ahead, Dave.
When you have no money, I mean, this is time to focus on some cool binder stuff.
Right.
Nets, some base here and there. You might be able to get 10 cards in for $10, and you get a mail day every day.
Right.
Whenever things are kind of good, then you go a little higher up on the budget and get some cooler pieces in. But if you can get some good stuff in and keep it relatively cheap in this hobby,
right?
Nothing needs to be, Tom Seaver rookies and stuff. And
exactly. And I think that gets lost in a lot of these especially newer channels, they always want to show the old stuff that, the big name Hall of Famer stuff. And you're like, wow, where are you getting the money to keep showing this stuff? But I kind of learned that they're selling stuff too. Saw a lot of them, got to talk to a lot of them, saw how they work. They'll buy something, they don't like that card for whatever reason, sell it and get something else. I mean, so I think that's where we're at in the hobby. It's no longer going to your parents and getting a $20 bill and then going, hey, I got to go to card shop or whatever. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, also on social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or all this stuff, that's what's a lot of it too has to do with content and clicks. So of course, people are going to show off all the bigger cards, whether it's the downtowns or kabooms or whatever the hell's popular, or the really big all-time greats. Like, I mean, I love watching the true collector, the team collector, the player collector show off their stuff and talk about it. I don't.
Oh, we will, battery. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I like seeing other stuff too, and seeing the big stuff, and that's what I expect out of the national. But you don't necessarily expect that every time. You don't need that out of every video, but obviously, you see it. Certain things are where they're going to get the general audience attention. So that's one of the reasons you see that kind of stuff.
Right. And me and you've talked. Our group is very passionate about our teams and players, and they're not. You're not going to see high dollar stuff in the group of guys that were in our house. You're going to see some comma cards, but you're not going to see some big comma cards. I hope that makes sense. And we love those cards. We love the dollar cards just as much as we do the $1,000 card. And I think that passion shows through. And I'm not saying other people, they're not that way, but I tend to watch those channels and really enjoy those. And also watch the other ones because I don't get that stuff. I want to see it, but I don't get it.
And I think too, like some of the guys that the people that I would say they're collecting now for the views for their channel and to fit in the group that they're in. I guarantee they have a lot of cards that they've bought that they really don't like that much anyway, but they had to have it because they need it to fit into that group they're in,
Right.
So like, I'm going to buy this because this other person has, I got to get my match his stuff, which they don't really want that card to begin with.
Yeah. And you can see that. I've said that before where it almost looks like they're showing cards and it's like a job instead of a hobby. I have a job. This hobby gets me away from that nonsense. And yes, is it too much of my life outside of my work is my hobby? Yes, probably so. But what else would I be doing? I could be doing a lot worse things. So that's kind of how I feel. It's just me in this apartment, and I don't have cats. I have cards.
You're better off with the cards than the cats.
That's right. I don't have a mess to pick up. Unless when I drop a box off the shelf or something.
Well, then you have an all-time moment you can always remember.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. He's the first one to say it, though, Carlos. But it's a very good point. I mean, peer pressure. I don't know if it's peer pressure or just the feeling that I saw somebody else with that card. There is a lot of dick measuring in our hobby. I hate to say it, but
and think about how many times, so you were talking about like people are selling cards, right? Well, they can. Oh, I got to go get this big card. So let me sell all the stuff I like to get this big card to show up on YouTube. And their collections have actually shrinked.
Right.
Because they're trying to, now they want everybody to think they still have all the same cards. Like, this is my huge collection, but half of them are gone because you've been selling to try to buy this bigger one.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of that, but it seems like that's the way part of our hobby is going is smaller collections with higher value. I hate to say value, but what means the most to that person. Um, and I'm kind of getting that way. I mean, I'm trying to get rid of most of my collection, and most of it is fluff that I don't really care about. But you know, I grew up where you kept it all. You didn't sell it. You kept it. You try to get everything, and I kind of got caught up in that. And now I'm trying to not laser focus, but be a little bit more focused on what I'm doing. So, I mean,
Sounds like you need a sports card spreadsheet for your hobby needs.
I've already got those, and they're doing just fine. But if anybody else needs one, find Dave on his Etsy store. And he'll get
I had to do the
hooked up.
shameless plug there.
That's fine. Anybody can plug stuff in my chat on here, as long as it's not you know, your OnlyFans page. Everything but OnlyFans. So Jeff says the flexing now is becoming ridiculous. Yeah, and it's a soft flex. It's not a hard flex where they come out straight out. You kind of get that feeling. But you know, it's fun to watch some of that where you know who they're talking about or whatever, and they go back and forth because they have fun with it too, Jeff. You got to admit they have fun with it, and sometimes that's entertaining to watch. Yeah. Carlos is telling Battery to get some of his fancy Greg Jeffrey cards so Mike will be impressed. Eric can pump his OnlyFans. How else do you think he pays for the button? I guess. My OnlyFans is Little Scott 17 and a half. So first you get the money, then you get the Greg Jeffries, then you get the women. Yeah. Yeah. The Greg Jeffries. Did I give y'all Greg? I did have some Philly Greg Jeffries. Did I throw them in y'all's packs?
I don't remember seeing Mr. Jeffries.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. I did put, you know, some fun. I wish we would have had a camera out when I gave Wesker Griff the Altuve card, and it was a big card. But Falsey, wait, what's wrong with promoting my OnlyFans account? It has cards and autographs in the background. Hey, did you go to the National? Because I did not see you. I walked around. I was like, I know he's got to be in the autograph area with his chair, but I didn't see you. So at the National, man, I missed you, brother. So I want to wrap it up. Is anything y'all want to end with, like for what you're doing in the future, or staying the same, staying true to yourself? Or, I mean, I know I'm trying to not change, but tighten up what I got to better. I feel to have a better collection, not a. To myself, to be happy with it with myself. Nobody else has got to worry about what my collection is. It's my collection. So right now I'm just trying to tighten it up a little bit. And that's about it. Mike, what you got going on in the future coming up? Anything?
I mean, collection wise, you know, just continue to slowly add stuff. I'm sure it'll be more modern stuff for the foreseeable future, unless I run into something cool that's affordable with auction house type of stuff, maybe Philly show. But I am slowly, and I notice more, like even at this National, I did find several really cool pieces that I did not have. I try and get an example from as many different sets as I can. And I was able to find a couple that were in that $100 to $250 range, which is definitely very doable. But I did run into like 3 or 4 that suddenly get into that $2,000, $4,000, $8,000 range, which is obviously a big step and something that, you know, you can't necessarily do. But those cards were not overpriced. That some of them were good deals. It's just not something you can necessarily do in that moment because they're
Right.
just so unbelievably rare. So that'll be the tough part going into the distant future. Obviously, I'll continue to find a few things that I need for the next couple of years that are affordable. But when you're collecting some of the old stuff, you don't have new stuff coming out on a weekly or monthly basis. So the more affordable stuff will start to slowly dry up. So it's cool to continue to add stuff to your collection, but then you start having to make harder choices and such. Otherwise, just keeping busy. Listed a couple hundred cards on eBay the other night. It was my first kind of bulk listing in like 2 weeks because of getting ready for the National, being at the National, and then catching up on packing stuff. So I'll hopefully be able to continue to do that stuff as I go because I do enjoy cards. I have fun going through them and picking stuff up and, selling off some. And then obviously I have that core stuff that stays in the collection. I've been pretty good at separating them and being able to do both and never get anything close to burnout. I might fall straight up asleep at the computer desk instead of going to bed. I might literally pass out with my head against the on the desk from physical exhaustion, but there's no burnout in terms of like cards at all. So,
Right. How about you, Dave?
No, I think everything will kind of remain the same.
Yeah.
Just pick up.
You're very focused. I'm impressed on your focusedness. This. Even though it's a big focus, but it's what your your 5-star cool on card autos. I started picking up more autos since hanging out with you and talking to you. I really started. I love my autos now, and
I get picky with them too. Like I don't like certain products. I like. We like talk about the 5-star and Topps Tribute and like Tier 1, but I want the card to look good with the nice autograph. I don't need the high dollar one. For example, if it doesn't look cool,
right?
Yeah, for me, I think I want to do a little more football this year.
Okay.
Because I'm mostly, we're probably like 70% baseball and 20% football, 10%, basketball, maybe 5% basketball. So I like to just get some more football in the collection, rookies and autographs and stuff. Maybe some COMC orders this year that I didn't do last year. But that's about it.
Right.
Still organize my collection. I think that's kind of going through my boxes and making them organized and right, kind of figure out what I have and what I don't is going to help me. So I'll continue to keep doing that. And then
I like following Dave's collection too, because it's not all just those top level Hall of Famers. Obviously you do your Hall of Fame relics, your Hall of Fame autographs, but then you do the rookie cards and other cards of just like good players, like all-star players, guys who had really good careers, the guys that you won't hear people, praise constantly because the reality is there have been good players in all eras and guys you enjoyed watching and stuff, guys who brought a lot of joy to the league. So it's always fun to follow all that stuff.
And like I said, I noticed 70s and early to mid 80s cards are very affordable. They're priced all over the place, but I was finding the prices that I wanted at the National. I just can't buy everything, and that wasn't what I was there for. So,
and even with me, like, so I don't know if I think I told you guys, but like, so I added a bunch of oddball rookies to my spreadsheet, like especially like the 80s, even like the 70s. I got that Eckersley Hostess rookie,
right?
So I did it like a lot. Even the 90s, I've added some oddball stuff that's not the main or whatever companies. So going after some of those, that's always easy to collect, cheaper. You still get stuff in.
Right.
So keeping it still a little different stuff.
I think that stuff's fun. It's still affordable if it's from the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like the oddball stuff is really cheap, whereas the oddball stuff, that used to be cheap from 50s, 60s, and obviously anything before that has, I feel like, kind of shot up in price a lot over the years. So, I mean, it's a pretty good time to pick that stuff up, and it just gives you something else to chase, something else to kind of discover, look forward to, for specific players and such. I mean, I think that's another fun thing to kind of add. And I feel like it's kind of, maybe it's just me being more aware, but I feel like it's growing a little bit in popularity. People are kind of enjoying that stuff a lot.
All right, well, let's leave it at there tonight. I think we got a real. I feel better about the future talking it out. These Sunday nights is more of a therapy session for myself to talk things out than anything else, and having friends and in the chat and on the side chat and in our chat. It's been great. I'm going to start reaching out again, trying to get some people on the channel. Trying to find out some new people. I talk to people at the show. The show is always good for that. And so hopefully in the future for my show, having some people on, maybe a little different, find out how they collect. So until next time, like, share, tell a friend. Check out my code. Check out Midlife Card Crisis. And until
Dave's Midlife Card Crisis.
Dave's Midlife Card Crisis, the original.
Original.
Till next time, see ya.
Peace.